Life has a way of daily sending us lessons or nuggets of wisdom, or sending us people that are able to get us to refocus or get us to appreciate the things that we have in life. And some are, just there, and others are really mind blowing. And this one happened to me last year. I was going through a drive through to buy coffee. And when I got to the big screens where you take the order, the voice on the other side had so much energy and had so much passion. And it was just a joy to have that little interaction. It was like, "Good morning, brother. How are you today?" Blah, blah, blah. So I took my order and I drove to the window to make my payment and get my coffee. And the voice that I heard and the person that I saw were totally misaligned, because I could see from his tooth that his teeth were all blackened, and most of it were missing, and his jaws were kind of misaligned. And that just means that this person is someone who has recovered from addiction. But I made the mistake of asking him, and I said, "How are you?" And my God, he was like, "I'm so happy. God has shone his light on me. I got this job and I can't wait for when my shift ends. I'm going hiking with some of my friends." And he just went on and on for like 15, 20 seconds. And by the time I collected my coffee, my whole body had goosebumps on it. And as I drove away, I said, "I will never, ever live one day without being grateful." Here I was driving a $60,000 SUV, living in a first world country with a wife who loved me and two beautiful, healthy kids. But I was having a low moment because I was wondering, why isn't this happening, or why isn't that happening fast enough? And this guy who had recovered, who didn't die of addiction, who has recovered, and who has gotten this job that he's probably being paid $16 or $17 an hour, had so much gratitude and so much sunshine that my whole body had goosebumps on it, because I was like, my God, have you met people that are so grateful that their energy transforms you? That is what I experienced that day. And I drove away saying, I will never live one day without finding something to be grateful for. I want to have this kind of energy, this kind of passion, this kind of gratitude. And it reminds me of something Oprah said. She said that if you focus on what you have, you will always have more. But if you focus on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Alfonso Carr says that you can complain that the rose has thorns, or rejoice because the thorns have roses. Gratitude is one of the best virtues you would ever have. King Solomon says that he said, all the days of the afflicted are evil, but he who has a merry heart has a continuous feast. I think it's Proverbs 15:15. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but the days of those with a merry heart, a cheerful heart, have a continuous feast. It is all about perspective. There is always something to be grateful for. And they say arthritis is the sickness of the bones. And a lot of times people say that diseases are caused by how we feel. I've had times, I remember I was telling my wife this, I had a time where I was walking in so much unforgiveness because I was wronged. I was in the right. I was in the right to be angry and to be furious. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a problem when you allow it go further than it's supposed to be. They say unforgiveness is like or is it jealousy now? Or one of them is say it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. Whether it's unforgiveness or it's jealousy or whatever it is, it has a way of breaking down your immune system. So you have to find a way to focus on the things that are working well for you. So I remember that, I was so angry at this group of people, and the more angry I was, I realized that it felt like my heart was being squeezed. And I remember telling her that I remember the day that I said, you know what, I forgive these people and I just let it go. It was like someone just someone's hand that was squeezed over my chest just let it go, and it was like fresh air just came in. And I wonder how many people live with sicknesses and illnesses that are as a result of anger or unforgiveness or lack of gratitude. Just by listening to that man speak that day and interacting with him and him telling me how grateful he was, not just to be alive, but to have this job. He said, God's light has shone on me. I got this job. I'm so grateful. And I'm leaving here to go hike with my friends when the day is over. And I was like, wow, what injustice do we do to ourselves when we do not walk in gratitude? And so every single day, if you could start your day by being grateful for just three things. I started this in 2022, and I signed up for Bob Proctor mentorship. So part of our exercise was to daily write, I think it was three things or five things to be grateful for. And it amazed me that each day I was grateful for something different. The first day you start, you're like, oh, I thank you for my family. I thank you for my kids. But the next day you find that there's something else that you're grateful for. And within 3 months, my whole perspective changed because I realized that there was something every single day to be grateful for. And which is what King Solomon meant, that the cheerful heart has a continuous feast. But the days of the afflicted are always evil. If you focus on the things that you do not have, your days will continue to be evil. But look at it, if you focus on what you have, what you're grateful for, according to Solomon, you'll live what? In a continuous feast. Again, Alfonso Carr said that if you can complain because roses have thorns, or rejoice because thorns have roses. There is a lot to be grateful for. Have you met people that seem to have everything? I had a meeting with this guy who is obviously very rich, extremely rich, but he just kept complaining about the economy. And he just went on and on and on. And I was like, whoa, this guy really has nothing. Because over 2 hours, and everything I was hearing was one negative thing to another negative thing to another negative thing. And I was looking at this guy like, man, I would love to have what you have. But meanwhile, I realized that his days were filled with affliction, like King Solomon said. His days were filled with affliction because he was always going about the economy. Meanwhile, he had a very prosperous business. So I just want to encourage you to find things to be grateful for each and every single day. To have a woman that loves you, or to have a spouse that loves you, to have someone who says, listen, I know you, I know your weaknesses, I know everything about you, I know where the bodies are buried, in quotes, but it is you that I love. That is something to be grateful for. To have children that love you, to have children that are healthy, that are alive, that are doing well, is a lot to be grateful for. I won't forget. Someone told me, it was my banker who told me. He said, "Victor, cheer up. Dead men don't pay mortgages." He said, "If you're alive and you have problems, that's a sign of life. So first of all, be grateful for life, because if you're not alive, you wouldn't even have these issues or these challenges that at the end of the day make you better. Because if you're not dead, if the problems haven't killed you, they're there to make you stronger. You're bigger than that." Gratitude is one of the greatest virtues to ever have. And it is something that we can all practice and enjoy. You know, the other day I was um, driving in, I was going to the downtown, so I had to take a path that had beautiful lakes and all that. But that morning I saw people out there kayaking, and it was such a beautiful thing to see. And I was like, whoa, I don't mind parking and just watching them do this. And I was so grateful to be able to see it. There's so much to be grateful for. There, you have to have the eyes to see this and the ears to hear it, the device to even watch it, and the internet is a lot to be grateful for. Start from there. To have health is a lot to be grateful for. There are people in the hospital who have one number one prayer. It is, God, heal me. You get, so there are people who can't chew their own food. There are people who can't digest their own food. There are diseases out there that you hear about it and you're wondering, when was this one manufactured? But there's so much that you have to be grateful for. And your healing begins when you start walking in gratitude. Your increase starts when you start walking, when you start finding things to be grateful for. Remember what Oprah said, if you focus on what you have, you will always have more. If you focus on what you don't have, you will never have enough. There are multi-millionaires out there that are depressed. There's nothing wrong with having multi-millions. I want multi-millions, you want multi-millions. But what's the point of having it and yet wondering what life is about, because you can't find things to be grateful for? So my hope and prayer for you is, how King Solomon says that he who has a cheerful heart lives in continuous feast. I want you to live continuously feasting, continuously in merriment. Why? Because you find things to be grateful for each and every single day. And so that someone would meet you and hear how you speak and say, I'm so grateful. God has shone his light on me. I have this job, or I have this spouse, or I have this gift. And goosebumps covered them up just like that man did to me, because what? Gratitude is something that is so contagious, and it just changes your perspective. All right. Hope this helps. Take care.